For money, I climbed into the bed of the powerful magnate Colin. For over 1,000 nights, he found new ways to torment me. Later, when the crush of his youth returned from abroad, I secretly ran away, while pregnant. I thought that would be the end of our story. 5 years later, my daughter's kindergarten teacher called. She was missing. After a frantic search, I finally saw 2 figures outside my door, one tall, one small. My daughter was sucking on a lollipop and slurred her words, asking, "Mom, this handsome uncle says he is my dad, but didn't you say my dad is dead?" That night, the man pinned me down, asking over and over, "Tell me, who exactly is dead?" I replied, "I was wrong. It's me, I'm dying." Chapter 1. I stared at the test results in my hand. Stunned, I asked the doctor, "Am I really pregnant?" "Yes. 2 months along." 2 months. That must have been that time in the car. It was raining that day, and I didn't bring an umbrella. A male colleague offered to drive me home. Just as I got out of the car, Colin returned from a business trip, usually stone-faced and distant. His aura warned strangers to keep away. That night, his expression was especially dark, frightening. He grabbed me and forced me into his car, right in front of my colleague. He kissed me roughly. "Laura, I'm not even dead yet, and you're already rushing to replace me? What? I couldn't satisfy you?" My face flushed. I hurried to cover his mouth. "Stop it." But he stared at my rain-soaked blouse, his gaze turning darker. That night, he didn't let me go until well past midnight. When I finally got out of the car, my legs were jelly. In the end, he carried me upstairs. For the past 3 years, I knew my place. I could never become Mrs. Koo, and I never dared to hope for it. Still, even though I was so careful, I ended up falling into his trap. As I stepped out of the hospital, Colin called. "Where did you go?" I lied instinctively. "Shopping, buying your birthday gift." He chuckled over the phone. "Another tie? Laura, can't you get a little more creative?" I took a deep breath. "Then, what kind of gift do you want?" After hanging up, I looked at the photos he sent me, several pieces of lingerie, and gasped. So revealing. If I wore that, it might just kill me. In the end, I didn't buy what he wanted. Since he didn't like ties, I bought a leather belt instead. After all, it was his money. When I got home, he wasn't back yet. It was his birthday. Normally, he celebrated with a few childhood friends. Guessing he'd return late again, I ate alone, showered, and went to bed early. Just as I stepped out of the bathroom, someone hugged me tightly from behind. Chapter 2. My body stiffened, but when I smelled that familiar scent, I relaxed again. Colin buried his face in my neck. His warm breath sent shivers down my spine. Strange. Why did he come back so early today? It seemed he noticed my distraction because suddenly, he bit me hard. Hiss. Is this man a dog? But I dared not show my anger. I only whispered, "It hurts." Then endure it. As he spoke, he lifted me up and quickly threw me onto the bed. In these 3 years, he had never been gentle in bed. Tonight was no different. My robe was stripped away, and just as I was sinking into the moment, I heard him ask, "Where's my birthday gift?" I pointed at the bedside table. When Colin opened the box and saw the belt inside, he chuckled lightly. He raised an eyebrow. "What? Planning to tie me up with this?" I looked at his stern face and instinctively shook my head. How could I dare? What was my status? Nothing more than a hidden lover. Good that you know. After saying that, Colin grabbed the belt and swiftly tied my hands together. The rough leather chafed uncomfortably. Even more humiliating was the way I looked at that moment. "Young Master Koo, don't." Before I could finish, his kiss silenced me. He was always like this. In business, decisive and feared by everyone. In bed, rough and domineering, always making me cry. That night, my throat was almost hoarse from shouting. Only when it ended and he got up did I realize my entire back was scratched red by my own nails. After the shower, Colin held me tightly in his arms and soon fell asleep, but I lay awake the entire night. Chapter 3. I first met Colin 3 years ago. He had donated 2 teaching buildings to our university. On the day of the completion ceremony, He was invited to the ribbon-cutting event. I was working part-time that day as a ceremonial hostess. Because I was distracted, I accidentally spilled champagne on him. The school officials looked displeased and urged me to apologize to Colin immediately. After stepping off the stage, I heard from a senior classmate just how dangerous a figure I had offended. As the richest man in City A, if Colin so much as stomped his foot, the sky might as well fall. After the event, I caught up with his car at the school gate. He sat inside, wearing sunglasses, his expression unreadable. I cautiously stated my purpose. Mr. Koo, I'm terribly sorry for staining your clothes. Could you please tell me the brand? I'd like to buy you a new one. After I spoke, his assistant laughed. Miss, do you even know how much Mr. Koo's suits cost? After saying a figure that sounded astronomical, the assistant added, also, all of his suits are custom made by hand in Italy. You can't buy them off the rack. At that moment, I wished I could disappear into a hole in the ground for being so naive. In my extreme embarrassment, I watched as Colin took off the jacket and said calmly, since it's dirty, just throw it away. The car window rolled up in front of me, like a door sealing off two completely different worlds. I thought that would be the end of any interaction with someone like him. But a few months later, my mother's illness relapsed. She urgently needed a large sum of money for surgery. All the relatives in the family had already been borrowed from over the years. The school had also helped me many times. This time, I was truly at the end of my rope. Watching my mother suffer in pain, I gritted my teeth and rushed straight to the Koo Corporation headquarters. I don't know why, but he actually agreed to see me. The assistant brought me in. Colin was sitting behind a wide, luxurious desk, his legs crossed. After hearing why I came, he took a slow drag from his cigarette and asked meaningfully through the rising smoke, you want my help? Then tell me, Miss Laura, what do you have to offer in return? I can write you an IOU, and you can set the interest rate. After I graduate and start earning, I'll definitely pay you back in full with interest. But he laughed. His searing gaze scanned me from head to toe, invading every inch of me. After a long silence, he finally spoke. Money? I have plenty of that. What I want, Miss Laura, you're a smart girl, why don't you take a guess? Then I was thrown out. Before I left, his assistant handed me an address. 8 p.m. sharp. Mr. Koo said he won't wait. At 22, I had nothing but a clean body. That night, wearing a white lace nightdress, I climbed into his bed. The nightdress was torn to shreds by him along with it. My pitiful self-respect was also ripped apart. And just like that, it went on for 3 years. We had an agreement, I would stay with him for 5 years. During those 5 years, I had to come whenever he called, never allowed to refuse any of his requests. When time was up, he would set me free. But my mother didn't last that long. In the second year I was with Colin, she passed away. Thankfully, she never found out that the daughter she'd always been so proud of had long since sold her body for money. Chapter 4. It wasn't until around 4 or 5 in the morning that I finally fell asleep. I had many dreams, some of my mother, some of Colin. In one of them, he looked cold and emotionless as he took me to the hospital, forcing me to abort the child in my womb. Laura, you should be clear about your place. That's what he said. When I woke up, it was already noon. I thought Colin wasn't home, but just as I stepped toward the balcony, I heard him on the phone. From the other end of the line came the voice of Guchen, his childhood friend. It was a bit noisy on that side, so Guchen's voice came through loud and clear. Colin, Selena's already here. Where are you? Still at home. I'll be there soon. All right. Hurry up. Everyone's waiting for you to cut the cake. By the way, have you dealt with your little canary? Don't let Selena see her, or things could get messy. Relax. I know what to do. After hanging up, Colin headed downstairs, probably getting ready to meet Selena. I silently washed up, then went to the first floor to eat. To my surprise, he hadn't left yet. Colin was leaning lazily against the sofa, smoking, seemingly deep in thought. I hesitated for a moment, then walked over and helped him fix his tie. We were very close, our breath mingled, and his gaze stayed fixed on me the whole time. Before he left, he said gently, Don't go out today. Wait for me to come back. I have something to tell you. Okay. What else could it be? Probably to tell me to leave already. After all, the woman he truly cared about was back. 2 hours later, Selena updated her social media. She posted a picture of a cake and a selfie with Colin. Caption, "I'm back. Everything's just like before." Over the past 3 years, I'd heard many stories about Selena. They said she and Colin were childhood sweethearts, his beloved white moonlight for years. The large room in this villa was reserved especially for Selena. In fact, the reason Colin had donated to our school in the first place was because it was Selena's alma mater. In the photo, both of them had refined features and radiant smiles. I had to admit, they truly looked like a perfect match. In terms of family background and appearance, they were like a prince and princess straight out of a fairy tale. As for me, I was just the substitute he used while Selena was abroad, there only to fulfill Colin's physical needs. That night, I waited in the living room all the way until dawn. Colin never came back. The next day, photos of Colin and Selena entering and leaving a hotel topped the trending news. As I scrolled through the articles, a wave of nausea hit me. I ran to the bathroom and retched uncontrollably. After washing my face, I stared at my pale reflection in the mirror. In that moment, I made up my mind. I had to leave. If I didn't, I'd become a disgraceful third party, and my child would never be able to hold their head high. Chapter 5. Over the past 3 years, I had thought about leaving countless times, but I never expected that day to come so suddenly, so unprepared. I packed my things quickly. Aside from my documents and a few personal belongings, I didn't take anything else. Colin had been generous with money over the past 3 years, and I had saved quite a bit. That money was enough for me and the child to live out the rest of our lives. I told Aunt Wang I wanted to visit my mother, so she didn't need to cook for me that night. The driver offered to take me, but I declined. The taxi sped along the road, first passing by the Coup Corporation headquarters, then my alma mater, while waiting at a red light in front of the school gate. From a distance, I saw Colin's Maybach. Almost instinctively, I glanced into the car. In that brief passing moment, I saw Selena leaning intimately against Colin's shoulder. For a split second, I felt a pang in my chest. I had been debating whether to say goodbye to Colin. After all, during my mother's illness, he had helped me a lot. But in that moment, I suddenly felt there was no need. Selena was back. My quiet departure would be better for both of us. Just before takeoff, I suddenly received a call from Colin. Over the past 3 years, whenever he called, I always answered immediately. But today, I let the phone ring and ring, then I turned it off and removed the SIM card. I knew Colin's temperament. He had his pride. He wouldn't call a second time, and that gave me just enough time to escape. As the plane took off, countless city lights streaked beneath my feet, until they were out of sight. Goodbye, City A. Goodbye, Colin. Chapter 6. A few months later, I gave birth to a baby girl. I named her Pax. I hoped she would live a life of peace, safety, and longevity. Pax was sensible from a very young age. During my postpartum recovery, I developed mastitis and had to wean her early. She didn't fuss or cry. When she was 2, she had a high fever for several days. One night, as I secretly cried, she wiped away my tears and softly said, "Don't cry, Mommy, don't cry." Many times, I silently thanked myself for choosing to keep her. Since my mother passed away, I hadn't felt this kind of happiness in a long time. Raising a child kept me busy, and time flew by. In the blink of an eye, Pax was already 3.5. After much thought, I decided to return to China with her. The food here was just terrible, and life abroad always felt rootless, like I didn't belong. Though I worried, what if I ran into Colin? What if he found out about Pax and tried to fight for custody? But then again, he must have married Selena by now, right? Maybe they even had children of their own. As for me, just a fleeting passerby in his life, he had surely forgotten me. Besides, City A was huge. The places he frequented weren't places I'd ever go. We probably wouldn't cross paths. So, I took Pax and returned to City A after all these years. I bought a second-hand apartment in a good school district. The place had a warm and homey feel, and we could move in immediately without renovating. I also rented a small flower shop near the neighborhood. This way, I could take care of Pax and still have my own thing to do. It was a weekend when I received a last-minute order. The customer chose the most expensive bouquet in the shop and asked for urgent home delivery. After waiting a long time, no couriers accepted the order. Left with no choice, I delivered it myself. The address was in the city's most upscale villa district, quite far from my shop. By the time I arrived, I had been buzzing the doorbell for a while with no answer. I was about to call when the door suddenly opened, and there he was, Colin, appearing before me, completely unguarded. 4 years had passed. He looked thinner, but also more mature and sharp-edged. "Who are you looking for?" He stood with both hands in his pockets, looking impatient. "Hello, your flower delivery." I quickly handed the gift box over to him. Thankfully, it was a windy day and I was wearing a mask. Back when we were together, I always wore makeup and dressed carefully, but today, I had no makeup on at all. He probably wouldn't recognize me. Sure enough, he only glanced at me once, then took the bouquet without expression and closed the door. I breathed a sigh of relief and turned to leave. Suddenly, he called out to me, "Wait a minute." Chapter 7. I froze on the spot. I wanted to run, but I was afraid he'd notice something was off. I didn't dare turn around either, afraid he'd recognize me. As I stood motionless, he had already walked over, step by step, like the Grim Reaper approaching. "It's over." Just as I was racking my brain for how to deal with the situation, someone came out and called him. "Colin, where are my flowers?" "They're at the door." "What are you doing out there?" "Come on, we're about to cut the cake." Right after the woman finished speaking, I heard a child yelling from inside, "Daddy, come here, I want cake." After they went inside, I waited a moment and then quietly peeked through the backyard fence. It looked like a birthday party was going on. There were lots of people. In the crowd, I spotted Selena. Her makeup was flawless, and she held out a slice of cake to Colin. Next to her stood a little boy, about 2 or 3 years old. That boy looked a lot like Colin. So, they really did get married and had a child. I smiled faintly and turned to leave. For several days, I stayed on edge, but eventually realized my worry had been unnecessary. Colin didn't show up again. Neither did anyone from the Koo family. That day, he probably hadn't recognized me. Good. We really were people from different worlds. That day, flower orders in the shop suddenly surged. After dropping packs off, I had been busy nonstop since early morning. Even by late afternoon, around 4 or 5, I still wasn't done. Out of options, I called Pax's teacher. "Hi, could I trouble you to bring Pax to my shop? I can't leave at the moment." Her kindergarten teacher lived in the same complex as us, and she had helped me a few times before when emergencies came up. But this time, she asked with confusion, didn't her dad already pick her up? Her dad? A wave of panic surged in my chest. Could it be Colin? I rushed to the kindergarten. When we met, the teacher told me a man came that afternoon claiming to be my husband, Pax's father. She had planned to call and confirm with me, but my phone hadn't gone through. The man not only looked a lot like Pax, but also presented a marriage certificate. And so, Pax was taken away. After checking the security footage, it was indeed Colin in the video. I immediately called the police. Just as the officers were trying to get in touch with the Koo family, I received a photo. In the picture, Pax was sitting outside my home, eating a lollipop. At the same time, I got a text message. "Laura, come home." Chapter 8. I rushed back to the neighborhood. At the entrance of my building, a dozen men in black were lined up. The neighbors around me climbed the stairs cautiously, whispering among themselves. "What's going on? Is the mafia here to collect a debt? Did anyone call property management? Should we call the police?" They already checked. Apparently someone's here looking for his wife and kid. Wow. Who's the lucky couple? I didn't dare say it was me. I bolted straight to the 3rd floor. At the door, I saw Pax sitting in a small children's sports car, holding a tablet, watching cartoons intently. Pax. Before I could finish, someone suddenly grabbed me from behind in a tight embrace. After 4 years, Colin still managed to trap me effortlessly. One arm wrapped around my waist. The other pinned me between him and the wall. Then, without warning, he kissed me, roughly. The kiss was aggressive, filled with anger and coldness. It was like punishment for leaving without a word all those years ago. I pushed him with all my strength, but the more I pushed, the more fiercely he kissed, until Pax shouted from the side, "Mommy, what are you doing?" "Bad, uncle. Let go of my mommy." Pax climbed out of the car and started pounding Colin's leg with her little fists. He finally let go of me and bent down to pick Pax up. When he looked back at me, his gaze was deep and unreadable. "Like ink." He sneered. "So you're willing to come back now?" My heart tightened. Ignoring him, I went straight to take Pax into my arms. "Mr. Koo, let go of her." He raised an eyebrow, unmoved. "What if I don't?" "Then I'll call the police." I had just saved the officer's contact number earlier today. Colin Koo let out a low laugh, as if hearing something utterly amusing. "Sure, go ahead. What are you going to tell them? That a father came to visit his own daughter? That's not illegal, is it?" "He knows?" My face went pale. I quickly retorted, "You're lying. She's not your daughter." "Oh, then should I show you the paternity test right now?" "It's over." He came prepared. Of course, with his power. Finding out Pax's identity would have been a breeze. As we stood at an impasse, Pax sucked on her lollipop and looked at me with wide eyes. "Mommy, this handsome uncle says he's my daddy. But didn't you say daddy died?" Chapter 9. As Colin's face darkened, I opened the door. I told Pax to go to the room and play. After settling her in, I closed the door tightly. Then I turned to the man on the sofa and said, "Mr. Koo, we need to talk." Colin looked up at me. Even though I was standing and he was sitting, he still carried that same domineering presence. Just like the past 3 years of our relationship, he was always the one in control, and I was just something he could use at will. But things are different now. He's no longer my sugar daddy, and I don't have to be polite to him anymore. So I said bluntly, "Pax is my daughter. I won't give her to you. I know the Koo family is rich and could probably hire the best legal team, but I'm not afraid. I'm her biological mother. I've raised her personally, every step of the way since she was born. Besides, I have a job. I believe the judge will stand with me." I said it all in one breath, then looked at him calmly, waiting for his reaction. Unexpectedly, he started laughing. "Finished? You rehearsed all that in your head already, didn't you?" He was right. Ever since we ran into each other that day, I had drafted this speech in my mind 100 times. I absolutely will not give up the fight for Pax's custody. But what Colin said next stunned me. "I didn't come here to fight over Pax." "Then why are you here?" "For you." "And then?" "To tie you up and take you back, so we can resume our previous contract. Let me remind you, our agreement was for 5 years. You only fulfilled 3. There are still 2 left. Don't you think it's time you made up for that?" "Colin." I looked at him in disbelief. Then I spoke, slowly and clearly, "I'm sorry, but I won't be someone's mistress. What does he take me for?" Back then, I gave myself to him for my mother's sake. Whenever I felt humiliated, I comforted myself with one thought. At least, he didn't have a girlfriend. At least, my presence wasn't hurting someone else. But now, what is this supposed to be? Mistress? Colin frowned. "What are you talking about? You're married, aren't you? Since you have a wife, why can't you just leave me alone?" Now the confusion on his face deepened. "Who said I was married? Laura, have you lost your mind?" Chapter 10. I couldn't hold it in any longer. I completely lost it. "Aren't you already married to the eldest daughter of the Jean family? I know you've always liked her. The reason you were into me back then was because, from the side, we kind of look alike. I went to your house that day. I saw it. And your son, too. He does look a lot like you. So please, stop making shameless requests like this." After I finished, he stared at me for a long moment, and suddenly, he laughed. The next second, he grabbed me forcefully and pulled me straight into his arms. His domineering kiss came crashing down again, leaving me with no way to escape. Furious, I kept hitting him, but it was completely useless. with no other choice. I bit him, hard. The taste of blood spread through my mouth. But even so, he still didn't let go. Not until I was gasping for breath, on the verge of suffocating, did Colin finally release me. He wiped his lips and frowned. Laura, are you part dog or something? You're the dog. Your whole family's a bunch of dogs. Otherwise, how could he stick to me like dogskin plaster, no matter how I try? I can't shake him off? Getting bold now. Huh? You dare curse me? He chuckled, but after that laugh, his expression suddenly turned serious. I'm not married, and I don't have a kid. The child you saw that day belongs to my cousin. And as for Selena, I don't like her. To be precise, I've never liked her. I didn't understand what he meant. He doesn't like Selena? Then what? He likes me. How is that even possible? Just as I was thinking that, he nodded. Yes, I like you. Ever since the day I attended your school's awards ceremony, it was love at first sight. And you don't want me to fight you for custody of Pax, do you? Then you still have one option, marry me and become Mrs. Koo. I'll give you 3 days. In 3 days, I'll come for your answer. Chapter 11. After Colin left, I sat dazed on the sofa. It wasn't until Pax opened the door and said she was hungry that I hurried to make her some food. It was already late, so I simply cooked 2 bowls of wonton soup for both of us. While eating, Pax asked me, Mom, is Uncle Koo really my dad? I never imagined she would ask me this question at the age of 5. After thinking for a while, I asked her, do you like Uncle Koo? He's okay. Uncle Koo is handsome but a bit fierce. I still like Uncle Song better. The Uncle Song she mentioned is Sam, a middle school history teacher. Once, his cat went missing and I found it. That's how we met. Since then, Sam often visits my flower shop, though he never said it outright. I know he's pursuing me. I have a good impression of him, though I don't have strong feelings. I like him enough. After all, a man who loves animals and flowers can't be bad. But now, Colin's marriage proposal was making me restless again. After thinking all night, the next morning, just as I opened the door, Colin appeared again. Why are you here? Didn't I give you 3 days? Afraid you'd run away. Without giving me a chance to respond, he took Pax from my arms and tried to hold my hand. I quickly pulled away and kept my distance. The kindergarten is just 2 kilometers from home. Usually, I ride my electric scooter to take Pax, or we walk together. Going downstairs, Colin frowned when he saw me pushing the stroller out. You're using that to take my daughter? I was speechless. What's wrong with that? It's so cold. Don't catch a cold. Get in the car. Glancing at his flashy Lamborghini, I refused without a second thought. No thanks. Your car's too cramped. It won't fit. Mr. Koo, you should just leave. He sneered coldly with anger. Laura, how come I never realized you're so sharp-tongued before? I sneered back. You used to be my sugar daddy. Are you still? He got even angrier at that, just as he grabbed my arm, trying to force me into the car. Someone stopped him. Laura, need some help? It was Sam. He was dressed in sportswear, looking like he'd just finished his morning run. Good morning, Teacher Song. Morning. Pax politely greeted him. 2. Hello, Uncle Song. Uncle Song, when will you take Pax to see the dinosaur fossils? Be good, Pax. I'll take you when you have a break. Sam patted Pax's head, then looked at Colin standing by the car. Laura, who's this? Oh, he's an old friend of mine. As soon as I said that, Colin's face darkened. He spoke each word with a coldness like ice. Laura, say it again. What exactly is our relationship? Chapter 12. After I reiterated that we were just friends, Colin stormed off in anger. But that afternoon, he showed up again at Pax's kindergarten gate. I ignored him, so he followed us in his car until he saw us go upstairs. That night, his car never left. In the middle of the night, I got up to close the window and saw him leaning against the car, silently smoking. Our eyes met in the air for a moment, then quickly broke away. For 3 days straight, he stared at me without once looking away. On the evening of the 3rd day, he blocked my way, his gaze burning. Have you made up your mind? Will you marry me? Looking at his cold, sharp features. I belatedly realized I wasn't afraid of him anymore, though I didn't know when that change had happened. After a moment of silence, under his expectant gaze, I shook my head. No, Colin, I don't want to marry you. Why not? Because our relationship has never been equal. 8 years ago, I sold myself to you for 1 million. You told me what to do, and I had to do it. I hated your domineering and overbearing ways, but I couldn't refuse. I hated the way your friends looked at me, but I had no right to push back. I was your kept woman, your plaything. When you remembered me, you toyed with me. When you got tired, you threw me aside. You never respected me, so I don't want to come back to you. Every single second I see you, I remember that painful time. Mr. Koo, I beg you, please let me go. Saying all that felt like lifting a huge stone off my chest. I quietly waited for Colin's response. Maybe he would be angry. Maybe he would turn hostile. But to my surprise, he bitterly smiled. Laura, you say the 3 years we were together were painful? Well, they were fine by me. I must have been crazy to fall for a woman as heartless and ungrateful as you. Don't worry, next time I show up in front of you, I'll be a dog. With that, he strode away. Pax tugged at my hand. Mom, does Daddy not want us anymore? Be good, Pax. Daddy and Mommy both have their own lives, but our love for you is the same, okay? Okay. Pax nodded, then reached out her chubby little hand and wiped my face. Mom, don't cry. Strange. Was I crying? No, it was just raining. Chapter 13. Colin has always been a man who keeps his word. After that day, he truly never appeared again. Life gradually returned to its usual calm. Although Pax occasionally asked about him, she quickly got distracted by new toys. Sometimes, I would think about the past. If our beginning hadn't been so ridiculous, would the ending be different now? Actually, I did love him. Young love and hate are always mixed together, hard to tell apart. On one hand, I felt ashamed for climbing into his bed for money. On the other, I couldn't help secretly falling for him. He came from a distinguished family, always the center of attention wherever he went. Handsome features, and when he was gentle, those long eyelashes shaded eyes that seemed full of infinite affection. During those days, he not only spent lavishly on me, showing me sights I'd never seen, but after my mother left, countless times he woke from sleep to hold me tightly through my insomnia. In those dark, unbearable nights, he was my only support, so I once had secret hopes. Sometimes I wondered if he might like me even a little. But then, 3 years passed, with his never clarifying our relationship publicly, and Selena's return to the country. The faint flame of hope in my heart quietly went out. Now, after 5 years, he suddenly says he likes me. Who would believe that? It's just that Mr. Koo has always been arrogant and never abandoned, so he's unwilling to accept defeat. The weather grew colder and colder. It was a Friday, with a gray-yellow sky. Snow expected by nightfall. The kindergarten gate was crowded with parents picking up their children. I waited at the gate and saw Pax come out, quickly rushing to her. Just as I held her hand and was about to ask if she was cold, suddenly screams erupted behind us. I turned instinctively. A man suddenly appeared from somewhere. He was holding a kitchen knife, wildly slashing through the crowd. Several children had already fallen into pools of blood. Parents cried and tried to rush forward but were pushed back by the blade. In the blink of an eye, he charged toward me and Pax. My mind went blank in an instant. I wanted to run, but my legs felt frozen, not responding at all. Seeing the knife about to fall, I instinctively hugged Pax tightly and closed my eyes. The pain I imagined didn't come. The next second, I heard a familiar muffled grunt. Opening my eyes, I saw Colin, long unseen, had appeared somehow. He held me and Pax tightly, smiling and said, "Don't be afraid. It's okay, Colin." Before I could finish, he collapsed. Only then did I notice his back was covered in blood. At that critical moment, he had rushed behind me and took the knife for me. After a brief chaos, the madman was finally subdued by the crowd. Pax was terrified. She burst into a heart-wrenching cry. "Mom, is Daddy going to die?" Unconsciously, tears streamed down my face. The metallic smell of blood filled my nostrils, making me dizzy. I held Colin tightly, begging him, "Colin, wake up. Don't scare me. I'm begging you." Chapter 14. Outside the ICU. The waiting area was packed with anxious family members. The perpetrator had been caught and was now facing the full force of the law. But there was only one life lost by him. And today, 6 people died and 5 were injured. 11 families were plunged into grief. They surely wouldn't be able to celebrate the new year well. I found a quiet corner where fewer people gathered and finally managed to lull Pax to sleep. Just as I was about to check on Colin, someone took a seat nearby. It was Selena. Though we had never met in person, we had long been familiar with each other's names. She sighed when she looked at me. "So it really is you. Only you could make him risk everything, even his life." I stared at her in shock. "What did you say?" "You know, Miss Laura, I've always envied you. Since I was little, I knew I would marry Colin someday. So I chased after him, never allowing any other woman near him. But he never liked me. More than that, he found me annoying." Later, heartbroken, I left the country in a fit of anger. During those years abroad, I waited for him to humble himself and beg me to return. But all I got was news that you were by his side. So I swallowed my pride and fear and rushed back. That night, I thought he was coming to welcome me. But he told me he wouldn't marry me because he had already fallen for someone else. I cried. I threw tantrums. Even threatened to kill myself. He was afraid our families would fall out, so he agreed to stay with me a few days until I came to terms. I thought he'd eventually change his mind. It was just a matter of time. But the next day, when he heard you had run away, his face changed. Later, I heard he was beaten by Uncle Ku multiple times because of you. He searched everywhere for you, as if he wanted to overturn the world. I tried to throw myself at him, but he didn't even glance my way. Eventually, I couldn't wait any longer and married his cousin. I wanted to see if he was really that devoted, willing to be a lifelong monk for you. That's Colin, all his life. What kind of woman hasn't he had? And you? Your family is so poor. Besides a decent face, what else do you have? I don't understand. I really don't understand. Yeah, neither do I. So I'm going to wait for him to wake up and ask him face to face. Chapter 15. Colin was badly injured. I waited in the hospital all night, but he didn't wake up. The next day, Pax had a fever and kept babbling nonsense. The doctor said flu was severe recently and there was a high risk of cross-infection in the hospital. So I had to take the child home as soon as possible. Reluctantly, I left first. 3 days later, just after waking up, I saw a message from Colin's assistant sent late at night. He had woken up. I quickly got dressed and prepared to rush to the hospital. But when I opened the door, I found Colin sitting on the floor, pale-faced. I had no idea how long he had been waiting. I was shocked. "What are you doing here? Let me take you back to the hospital." "I don't want to go back." "Laura, make fun of me if you want. I'm a dog, woof woof woof. I'm unreliable and yet I show up in front of you again." I sighed and helped him inside. As soon as he lay down on the sofa, Pax climbed up beside him. Her big eyes were full of confusion. "Daddy, why do you say you're a little dog? Isn't it better to be human?" Colin's silence was deafening. I was beside them, barely able to hold back my laughter until my stomach hurt. "Pax, be good and go play, okay? Daddy has something to say to Mommy. After that, Daddy will take you to eat KFC. Okay." The little girl nodded, and seeing I didn't stop her, happily took my phone and went to her room to watch Crayon Shin-chan. I poured a glass of water and handed it to Colin. "You're so badly hurt. Why did you come here?" "Afraid my wife would run away." "Who's your wife? Who do you think?" As he spoke, he gently held my hand and asked pitifully, "Are you mad at me?" I shook my head. "I was never mad at you." "Then why don't you want to marry me?" "I thought you wanted me to marry you because you were unwilling to be abandoned by me." "I thought you were lying when you said you liked me." Halfway through my words, he kissed me again. This time, I didn't refuse. After a long while, he slowly let me go. Our foreheads touched, and our eyes met. He asked me, "What else did you think?" "Nothing, Colin. I love you." Finally saying it felt so good. After hearing this, he was ecstatic, staring at me in disbelief. Really? You're not just saying that because you were touched when I saved you, right? Really? Saying that, I hooked my arms around his neck and resumed our kiss. I don't know how long Colin's love will last. I don't know how many obstacles our future holds, but at least in this moment, I want to try. Life is short. One must enjoy it while one can. Over the past 5 years, I dreamed of Colin countless times. Some say if a person appears in your dreams, you should go see them when you wake. Now, my beautiful dream has finally come true. Colin, then, please take care of me for the rest of my life. Extra, Colin's story. The first time I saw Laura, it was just an ordinary day. She was wearing a gaudy cheongsam, but her face was as tender and fair as jade. That day, she accidentally spilled wine on me. After being scolded by the principal, her face flushed red. She wanted to cry but held it back. At that moment, I thought, I wonder what she looks like when she really cries. But it was just a thought. She was just a woman. I, Colin, could have any woman I wanted. At first, I had already forgotten her, but soon enough, she came to beg me. Since the little white rabbit came to me willingly, there was no way for her to escape now. Just as I expected, Laura was beautiful when she cried. Of course, she was even more beautiful at other times. Every time I saw her begging with tears, I felt a fire burning hot inside me. I signed a contract with her. I bought 5 years of her. But after only a few months, greed crept in. I wanted to tie her down for life, not letting her go anywhere. But what kind of family was the Koo family? My parents would never accept her. More than my feelings, they cared about the family's interests. So, I had to plan step by step. On one hand, hiding her so she couldn't contact my circle. On the other, slowly getting a grip on the Koo family. Little by little, that day was my birthday. Since adulthood, I always celebrated my birthdays with Gu Chen and his crew. But that night, I couldn't wait to go home and hold her. The next day, I planned to clear things up with Selena and then propose to Laura. But I never expected Selena to threaten suicide. I had no choice but to watch over her at the hotel. Of course, nothing happened that night, only me and my assistant were there. I asked Selena what she really wanted. Besides marriage, I promised to fulfill her other wishes as much as possible. She said she wanted to visit the university, so I accompanied her to Jing University. At the school gate, I thought of Laura again. I wondered what she was doing at that moment. I hadn't gone home last night. Would she be worried? But just one night later, that damn woman ran away. At first, I was furious and decided to punish her harshly when she came back. Later, I became afraid she would never return. After that, I searched the whole world like a madman. Selena still hadn't given up on me. Several times she came looking for me in the middle of the night. My parents and brothers introduced me to many women, many with better figures and more beautiful than Laura. But none of them were her. I didn't like a single one. I thought life would just go on like that. She was just a woman. If I lost her, would I, Colin, really die? But she showed up again. Did she think I wouldn't recognize her because she was wearing a mask? Ridiculous. Even if she turned to ashes, I'd still know her. I followed her for several days, and then discovered she had a daughter. That delicate little doll looked exactly like I did as a child, though I had a DNA test done to silence my parents. Deep down, I knew she was my daughter. The woman I love, carrying our baby, finally came back. This time, I will never let her escape again.